This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Good evening. I guess good evening, mid-afternoon, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. It's 4:30. The Knicks play at 7:30 tonight versus the Houston Rockets. And ladies and gentlemen, you know, we got some more possible injuries to worry about as Josh Hart joins Jalen Brunson in being questionable for tonight. But before we get to that, 2 things. Let me remind you that the channel has been demonetized, so you can support the channel by hitting the Cash App at $ nothing but Knicks or through PayPal at paypal.me/nothing but Knicks. We definitely appreciate your support. That information is pinned to the top of your YouTube chat, and it's also in the description of the video. Before we start talking about the Knicks and breaking it down, I want to ask Tony, how do you feel about the Indiana Pacers trading for Pascal Siakam? All right, because, you know, that's a team right there with us in the standings. Does it put pressure on the Knicks to have to make another move?
I mean, I think that pressure was already there. I don't think it puts any more pressure on the Knicks, but it definitely makes Indiana better.
Mm-hmm.
They took a guy who was pretty much out of the rotation, gave them a potential 20-point scorer, a guy who could create for himself, which is, again, one of the things that they were missing as well. Halliburton was generating. He was the leading scorer and then generating all the points through his assists for everyone else. Now they got a guy who could go ahead and get a bucket on his own at times. So, yeah, it definitely made them a better, a bigger threat. It takes that option of OG guarding Halliburton. I mean, even though I think Randall's more than capable of matching up with Pascal, you know what I mean? But still, that's just another guy that you got to pay attention to. You know what I mean? You got to put some defense on it.
And it also helps them.
Randall's going to have to be engaged.
Got to be engaged. It also helps them on the defensive side because, you know, he's a better defensive. I mean, Obi ended up not starting anyway. I think the other guy, the other young guy was starting over Obi over the past few weeks, you know, but they probably add defense from that position. They add more depth from that position. You know, it makes them a better team, no doubt about it. They're 23-17, tied with the Knicks, although they do have the tiebreaker over the Knicks currently. But they've become a better basketball team. You know, have they become this much or that much better than the Knicks? We don't know until you hit the floor, right? You know what I'm saying? You don't know until you hit the floor. But they've gotten better. They've gotten better. And, you know, I agree with you. The pressure was already there for the Knicks after these past 2 basketball games to add that ball handler, to add that guard. The pressure was already there, you know, and this might make them look and say, yeah, you know, if they had visions in their mind that they would stand pat at the deadline, I think this has to cement it. Well, they already didn't stand pat, but that they would stand pat with this team, this has to put it in like, no, we really got to make a move and get another guy in here, you know, to try to shore up what we feel we're missing right now. You know, it definitely puts a little bit of pressure on. The East is deep. There's no doubt about it. The East is deep. Some teams that you didn't expect to be as good as they are good. Then, of course, you got the teams that you expected to be good. And the Knicks, You know, everybody that's good in the Eastern Conference, the Knicks have played. I was just looking at it. They played Milwaukee 4 times. They played Boston 4 times. They played Philly once, Cleveland once, Miami once, Indiana once. They played Orlando twice. Right? That's every single, most of their games have come against some of the really good teams in the Eastern Conference. And then in the West, they played Minnesota twice. They played OKC once. They played the Clippers twice. They played Dallas. They played New Orleans. They played Phoenix. They played Utah. All of those teams have winning records. And they're 23-17. After all of that, right now, it's not people not feeling good right now because of the way they performed in the last 2 games. Obviously, they had the loss to Dallas, so they're 2-3 in their last 3 games. Jalen Brunson has been hurt the last 2 games. Now Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart are questionable. Both are on the injury list. So people are a little bit nervous right now. I see people in the chat right now saying, the Knicks might just be a play-in team. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. And if the Knicks continue to try to upgrade the roster, but the onus is there. Leon, it's your move. Leon, it's your move. Go ahead, Tony. You about to say something?
No, I was just saying. I was just thinking it's an opportunity for Fournier to kind of showcase himself tonight. Tonight with Josh out.
Maybe it might be.
Maybe go for. I wish it was Boston. Go for a 30-point game and maybe get the ball moving.
Right. And I don't want to start nothing, but I'm gonna just say it, and then I'm gonna leave it alone. And anyone who wants to run with it, go ahead and run with it. But I wonder. I asked you earlier. I wonder if Indiana, played a little. Indiana was interested in OG as well, right? That's what is out there. There's a rumor that Indiana was also interested in OG and in Obi. And it makes me wonder if they were only interested to drive up the price for the Knicks. Because we heard early in the season that Indiana was interested in Pascal. Because people were like, matter of fact, before the season started, they just traded for Obi. Now they're interested in Pascal? Oh, well, Obi's going to be on the bench behind Pascal. I remember that whole conversation. But a report came out that they were also negotiating with Toronto for OG. Just makes me wonder, did they just simply drive up the price for the Knicks but they knew all along they really wanted Pascal?
I do have one thing to add though. This will be the answer to the question. Where are they playing Pascal? Because if they're putting him at the 3,
good point.
Then you know what I mean. Maybe the target was either 1 or OG first or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it was that position as opposed to the 4. Now, if he's starting at the 4, then I think you might be onto something.
Yeah, we'll see. I guess we'll see over the next couple of days.
Because you're right, they already had a gluttony of 4s,
right?
You know what I mean? Prior to,
right?
You know what I mean? Like you said, they just got Obi, they just drafted a young guy, and I believe they had another 4 that was.
They got another 4 that the guy who began starting over Obi.
So yeah, it's like
and to not send out a 4 in that trade, right? They didn't send out, or they didn't send out a rotation 4. They sent out Jordan Noir in that trade. I guess he's a 4/5, right? But they didn't send out one that's actually playing. You know what I mean? So it does make you wonder where they might consider playing him. That's definitely a good point. Jalen Smith, that's the other guy. So that's a good point. We'll see what happens and where that goes, but It's very possible that they just said, hey, let's drive up the price, make the Knicks have to pay a little bit more. We heard Toronto's is willing to do this. Well, let's drive it up a little bit, and then we'll go get Pascal. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist right now.
One more retort. If that was the case, shouldn't that have lessened their paying price? You know what I mean? As maybe cut it down to 2 picks instead of 3.
I mean, one of the picks ain't theirs.
That's true. That's true.
So I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, the Knicks play the Houston Rockets tonight, and Josh Hart and Jalen Brunson are both on the injury list right now. We'll see if either one of the two plays tonight. But if neither one of those guys play tonight, what's your feeling about the lineups?
Well, I mean, Hart obviously doesn't affect the starting lineup, so I think we have the same starting lineup as
Deuce with Deuce in there.
Yeah, with Deuce. As far as the second unit, I think Fournier would probably be the next guy up to kind of play in that second unit, but I still would expect heavy minutes on the starters. You know what I mean? We don't. I guess you may see Flynn again backing up Deuce.
You see Flynn backing up Deuce.
Fournier would probably have to step in at the 2 spot. Yeah, OG's gonna get heavy minutes. 38 minutes.
You would think OG and Dante DiVincenzo get heavy minutes.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. Especially if he decides he's not gonna go with Evan Fournier. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this could be, a night, hopefully you catch lightning in a bottle. Evan Fournier goes off for 30, and then tomorrow he's out of there.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
He's not just a throw-in.
Yeah, he's not just a throw-in. You're getting a guy that can drop 30 on any given night.
I'll tell you one thing I am concerned with, as far as the matchups with Sengun.
Oh yeah,
because again, this is another one that I feel like Hartenstein could have foul trouble. Like, he's great guarding above the rim, but now we're talking about a straight skill center, right?
Right.
And so now it becomes the perplexity to reach in that he has. You know what I mean? Like, it's not his element defensively.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
The best thing he could do is really stay in good position and not foul. I don't know if he could really contest the way Sengun plays.
Right.
And I could see it being him really being a problem for all of our centers, whether that's Sims, who's inexperienced and that footwork might just put him in the blender, and a guy like Anunoby, not Anunoby, Achua, who is just undersized for him.
Right.
So
right. That would be the issue.
That's my biggest worry tonight.
That would be the issue with Achua, him being undersized. Footwork wise, he should be able to hang with him. It would be being undersized and being able to be posted. Right. Yeah. For the Rockets, and when I look at the Rockets and how they have tried to build this team, knowing that they were rebuilding, you get it. Reggie Bullock is questionable. I didn't know Reggie Bullock was there. Tari Eason is out. Nate Hinton, he's a G League player. Victor Oladipo, I didn't even know. I forgot all about Victor Oladipo. I'm not gonna lie, I have forgot all about Victor. You know what I'm saying? When I seen his name on the list, I'm like, oh wow, dude is still. I haven't even paid attention to Victor Oladipo. But when you look at, I mean, we know about Eason. You know, he's been there for a year at least, or whatever it is. Reggie Bullock is there. They really tried to build this team around defense, you know, with the addition of Dylan Brooks, with the addition of Fred VanVleet. They really did try to build it around some vets that can play defense and then young guys. You know what I mean? And that's when you look at how their team is playing, that's how they play. Although they have been blown out the last 2 games. You know, they played obviously tough competition. I think they played Boston and Philly, both teams that got blown out. You know, but you know, that's basically how they're trying to build this basketball team on defense first. You know what I mean? Tough guys, rugged guys that can play some defense. And that's how I expect them to come out tonight against the Knicks. You know, and without Jalen Brunson, if Jalen Brunson is not playing, without Josh Hart, you know, Josh Hart obviously gives you the defensive side, but we've seen the way the Knicks have struggled on the offensive side without Jalen Brunson, and a team that wants to, you know, really try to get down and dirty. It's going to make it difficult for the Knicks. They got to be ready to come out and ball. They can't play games.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Or they'll have another upset on their hands, being upset. You know what I mean? You know, so they you know, I'm pretty sure that the Knicks have it in the back of their mind that, hey, we can't slip up. But, you know, this is a tough team. They're 19-20 on the season. I think they've been above 500. You know, so this is a tough team to play against tonight. And when you're down a guy like Jalen Brunson, that's going to be tough. You know, for the Knicks, if Jalen Brunson is out, he's questionable for tonight. If he's out, that'll be Deuce McBride who steps in. Then you got Dante DiVincenzo, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and Isaiah Hartenstein. And for the Houston Rockets, you got Fred VanVleet, who, like Caller said the other night, you know, usually gives Jalen Brunson fits, but if he's not playing tonight, it's going to be Deuce McBride that he gives fits. You got Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Jabari Smith, and then you got Sengun. You know, tough matchups here for the Knicks. I still think the Knicks should be, it's hard, they should be the better team still, but they miss so much with Jalen Brunson being out and getting into your offensive sets and moving the basketball and those things. Now you got to go back to everything flowing through Julius Randle because, you know, Miles McBride isn't really that guy right now. It makes it tough. You know what I mean? It definitely makes it tough. I think OG will probably be on Jalen Green. Dante may be probably on Fred VanVleet. Probably Deuce will be on Fred VanVleet. Dante, I'm assuming, I guess Dylan Brooks. Randall, Jabari Smith, Hartenstein on Sengun. You know, and when you go back the other way, if Jalen Brunson is in the game, if he is playing, they'll probably put Dylan Brooks on Jalen Brunson, like most teams have done, putting a longer forward, a guard on Jalen Brunson. If he's not, then I think you'll see Fred VanVleet guarding Deuce, Dylan Brooks, maybe Julius Randle. You know, to make it tough for Julius Randle. Jalen Green and Dante, maybe Jabari Smith on OG and Sengun on Hartenstein. I think you probably could see Dylan Brooks on Julius Randle. He's their best defender. You know, Dylan Brooks is what, 6'6" himself?
Yeah, and he's an antagonizer.
So,
you know what I mean? They may just want him to get under Randall's skin and, you know what I mean, see if you get him frustrated, things of that nature. He's been good at it this year, you know what I mean? Keeping his composure, but I'm sure that's still something that's on that scouting report.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. And Dylan Brooks is good at it. He gets under my skin from afar. You know, you know what I'm saying? He's good at it. Yeah, Dylan Brooks is 6'6". So, you know, Randall's 6'8". You know, you could definitely see Dylan Brooks on Randall. But yeah, he's good at it. He's a guy that can get under your skin. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't know how those matchups are gonna look tonight. You know, this is gonna be an interesting one.
Hopefully Randall takes him in the paint, man.
Yeah. And I wonder how Randall's ankle is. He's not on the injury report at all. It's not questionable. He's not, anything. So hopefully that means he's good and he's 100%. I know, there were people who were saying, last game, he toughed it out through, twisting his ankle. For him not to be on an injury report, my assumption is that he's 100%. So, that's what I want to see. I want to see him come out and play 100%.
Or he know Brunson's still questionable, and he's just gonna try to tough it out.
That's true.
I can see that as well. Like, nah, we can't both be out.
Right, that's true. But I wonder if,
and I don't agree with that. By the way,
but right. But I wonder if they would at least have it on the report saying, day to day or game time decision or something. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe they don't want to give any type of insight on a opposing team.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. As you're looking at the bench, ladies and gentlemen, you got Deuce McBride at the point guard spot. Obviously, if Deuce has to start, then you're going to see Malachi Flynn play that backup point guard spot. If Deuce is starting, you got Quentin Grimes, Josh Hart, who is also questionable. That's why his name is in black. You got Randall and OG at the power forward spot, and then you got Precious at the center spot. For the Houston Rockets, you got Aaron Holiday. Now, Jeff Green, he's another guy that they have. He's not a center. He could play some, but if Achua is playing center, then Jeff Green could play some center as well because they're both 6'8". Right? If that's who is in the second units. But, they play kind of, I don't want to say small because they got a lot of 6'8", 6'7" guys here. But you got Aaron Holiday, Jashawn Tate, Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore, and you got Jeff Green for the Houston Rockets. For the Knicks, again, Deuce McBride or Malachi Flynn, Quentin Grimes, Josh Hart, Randall or OG at the power forward spot, and then you got Achua at the center spot. You can also put Jeff Green on Julius Randle. They do have a lot of switchability in their starting and bench lineups. Now, Reggie Bullock is questionable. If he's playing, that might bump somebody out of this lineup. It might bump Aaron Holiday or someone out of the lineup. When I look back, Holiday's normally getting 3 to 5 minutes a game, depending on who's playing. So a lot of switchability for the Houston Rockets defensively. We'll see how much and how well it works for the Knicks or for Houston tonight versus the Knicks. I need the Knicks to get this win. You know what I'm saying? We got to get this win. We can't play around with these guys. You know what I'm saying? Because now, teams are starting to soup up for the playoffs and really, even though it's January, and this is the time when, you're usually in that mid-season, the dog days of the NBA and all of this stuff. But with the way things are structured now, you can't look at no dog days of the NBA and all of that, right? Because there's a battle in the Eastern Conference. So you can't afford to slip. The Knicks are in the 7th seed right now. Orlando's the 8th seed, and they're a game behind the Knicks, but they beat the Knicks twice already. Right? The Knicks have lost to Indiana, who's in the 6th seed. They beat Miami, they beat Cleveland, they beat Philadelphia. Right? So right now they have the tiebreakers over those 3 teams. But in order for those tiebreakers to even kick in, you got to be close to them in the standings. And the Knicks are close, but right now they're below Cleveland, Miami, Philadelphia, Cleveland, Miami, and the Pacers. And even if they get a win tonight, the most they can do is move up to the 5th seed, depending on who else is playing. I haven't checked the entire schedule for the night. I look at it now. Miami is playing Toronto, right? And so now Toronto just cleared out some space. Pascal Siakam won't be playing. You can assume that's probably going to be a win for Miami. Cleveland is playing Milwaukee. Good chance they lose that basketball game. But still, they'll be 23-16. All right, the Magic are playing the Hawks. And Indiana does not play tonight. So the next time they take the floor, they'll probably have Pascal Siakam in tow. Right? The next time they play tomorrow night versus the Kings. That'll be an interesting game to watch.
That will be, because Pascal didn't want to go to the Kings. That trade was ready to go, but he said he's not going to resign and he's not going to extend.
Right.
So
okay.
See if they go Kings. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Exactly. Knicks got to get a win tonight, then go Kings. The Knicks play tomorrow night, right?
Yeah, back to back.
Yeah, play tomorrow night. Shout out to Edward Howard. Thank you for the Cash App. I definitely appreciate it. He says salute to Knicks Nation, Sim, and Tony. Salute back to you, my brother. Thank you very much. We definitely appreciate it. Just the matchups that I mentioned, Tony, do you have, and I'll run it back for you because there were a few different options, but let's assume that Deuce McBride is starting because Jalen Brunson is questionable.
Mm-hmm.
And let's assume Deuce starts. Fred VanVleet will guard Deuce. Deuce will probably guard Fred VanVleet. Dante, I'm assuming Jalen Green. OG will probably guard Jalen Green, though, for the Knicks, while Dante maybe guards Dylan Brooks. I think Dylan Brooks would guard Julius Randle. Randle's going to probably guard Jabari Smith. Hartenstein and Sengun are probably going to guard each other, and then, for the Rockets, if Brooks is on Randle, probably Jabari Smith on OG, Jalen Green on DiVincenzo, Fred VanVleet on Deuce, Sengun on Hartenstein. What's your thoughts on those matchups? Do you see anything different?
I think to start, it'll be DiVincenzo on Green and OG on Brooks. And I say that for a couple of reasons. If you flip-flop that, I think the advantage is actually Brooks against DiVincenzo, just because he has the size and the strength advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So I would rather, and then DiVincenzo, who's not a bad defender, you know what I mean, fights over picks and everything else. I think you just see how he does on Green initially. I also could see a situation where if DiVincenzo is having a tough time, maybe you put him on VanVleet, who is gonna be more of a perimeter guy, which is plays to DiVincenzo's strengths defensively. And then he has a size advantage over, you know what I mean? And then maybe you give Deuce a shot on Green, just because he's maybe a more solid defender. But I think it could go any one of those three ways. The way you mentioned with OG on Green, or the two other options with Deuce flip flopping with DiVincenzo, or as far as guarding VanVleet and Green.
Right.
So
yeah.
I think we have a bunch of options.
We do. We definitely have a bunch of options out there
in the starting unit for sure.
Yeah. I mean, Jalen Green and Fred VanVleet, they're both giving you 17 a game. So either way you go, you're gonna figure out how to have your best matchups, defensive guys. The good thing about the Knicks is, Deuce, Dante DiVincenzo, OG, all three of those guys can defend. I'm just, wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know if you would see OG on Fred VanVleet. You could. I mean, Fred VanVleet is 6 foot. I mean, do you say, we got to take off the head of the snake? I don't know.
I mean, he would have to already be killing us.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Right,
and then it become an adjustment. But yeah, you know what I mean. And if that's the case, sure. But then again, if Hart is out, it's really gonna be tough. You know what I mean? Because now, if you put an OG on this small guy, we need everybody else to guard up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
From
Because
from that.
yeah, because then you kind of throw off your matchups a little bit. The leading scorer though, I mean, Sengun, man, he's giving you 21 points, 8.9 rebounds per game, 4.8 assists per game. Like you said, you were concerned about that matchup. Yeah, that's going to be a tough matchup for Hartenstein, without a doubt.
So, I do gotta get out of here. I want to put this up and shout out to Travis Ryan. What do you think about that?
OG,
Like,
okay. Well, here's the reason why I think it could be a possibility is simply because of the size of Sengun. He's not a power center, right? So there's a possibility that you could see some OG on Sengun. But then where does Hartenstein go? Unless you go small.
yeah, or Hartenstein on Randall's guy, Randall on Brooks,
on Jabari Smith.
Jabari Smith. I can see
Jabari
that.
Smith or Brooks.
I would say Smith because he's more of a lanky 3-point. You know what I mean? Like he could Hartenstein. It's like guarding a stretch 5 in a sense,
Right?
Where that may benefit him a little bit more than Sengun with his skill set and footwork. Right. But I gotta get out of here soon. Yeah. I will catch you on the post game and that losers lounge.
Yeah, let's get it. We need that losers lounge.
Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black this time.
We need it tonight. That would be my only concern, though. It would be first of all, can Sengun, will he be able to post OG, right? If Sengun is going to stay, and he can post a little bit. He can post a little bit. I think that poses more matchup problems for the Knicks, though, in my opinion, unless you're going to go small. You know what I'm saying? And if you're going to put an OG on him, why not go with Precious? He's 6'8". He could defend. You know what I'm saying? He's aggressive. You know what I mean? So then you still got that kind of that small defensive guy that can get up under him. I think the Knicks start off with Hartenstein on him. and if there's gonna be any kind of adjustment made, then maybe it's possible you could see that kind of adjustment. Let me get you a phone call. Call you live. Name me where you're from, please.
Oh wow, is this me?
This is you.
Hi, this is Stephanie from Brooklyn. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Stephanie?
I'm doing great. I just found you guys a couple weeks ago, and I'm, a real big fan. So keep doing what you do.
Thank you.
The reason I'm calling is because I heard you and Tony talking about the lineups, the matchups, and I'm wondering about that because, as you said, DiVincenzo, McBride, and OG are great, with guarding and stuff like that. But sometimes I wonder, I feel like Tibbs has an issue with double teams. Like it seems like, was it the game we lost the other day? Not only the one in Dallas. Mm-hmm. It seemed like they didn't have the guys start double teaming until the fourth quarter. And right. I feel like, they need to start some of that a lot quicker because, some of these one-on-one matchups aren't working out. And I haven't seen much of Houston this year, so I'm wondering if that's going to be an issue for us, you think?
It could be. Listen, Tibbs never starts to double team into the fourth. So whenever you got a guard like Kyrie, Dame, he saves that into the fourth quarter. I don't know if it's because he doesn't want to give it away. Mm-hmm. And he's worried about, if I give it away too early, then the team is going to adjust to it or what. I would like to see it done, intermittently throughout the game. Give that opposing team, that guard, something to think about. He doesn't know if if a double team is coming or he doesn't know if it's coming. He doesn't know if it's not going to come. Now he's got something to think about. But I do feel like if you save it all for the fourth quarter, that entire fourth quarter, he knows, all right, this is exactly what I'm looking for.
Exactly. And just like what you said, I also feel in a way that the Knicks have become, I don't know, sometimes what's the word I want to use? It's almost as if like certain plays are expected. Mm-hmm. I wish, it seems like Tibbs can be kind of set in his ways. I know he likes his 9-man, team and stuff like that. But sometimes, I hate to say it, but maybe these injuries might help us break out a little bit. But it seems like once the guys get better, Tibbs is like, all right, we're going back to how we was. And I'm wondering if that's going to hold us in good stead when we make it, hopefully, into the playoffs, because, he might need to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
don't know.
That's what Tibbs does. He has his time frames when he's going to shake something up. Like after 20 games, you've seen him shake up the starting lineup, and then he's going to rock with that for a little while. But normally, if let's say Evan Fournier plays a little bit tonight because Josh Hart, he's questionable. Let's say he's out.
Mm-hmm.
Once Josh Hart comes back, Evan Fournier is back to the bench, and you're not going to see him. That's how. Yeah, I mean, you're right. That's how Tibbs goes. I don't know if he's. I don't see him changing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I, part of me is like, he's so set in his ways, and I'm wondering if that stubbornness is going to maybe keep us from greatness. What do you think? Maybe, it's good, or maybe he should, be willing to, hey, this guy's hot tonight. Let him do what he needs to do. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if it's. I don't know if it's gonna. I don't know. It's hard to say. You know what I mean? I can say this. I've seen plenty of nights where I think Tibbs needed to loosen up on what his philosophy is, right? And let guys play that are hot, or like for example, Malachi Flynn against Memphis. Against Memphis, he was playing good in the first half, didn't play him in the second half. Didn't make sense to me.
Did not make sense to me either.
Didn't make sense at all. Obviously, Malachi Flynn got more playing time the next game, but I mean, he was hot that night. He was playing well. He was knocking down threes in the first half. Didn't see the floor in the second half.
It was such a nice surprise.
Yeah. So.
And one thing, I'm sorry to interrupt, but also before I go, I just want to tell you one thing. Like I said, I found you a couple weeks ago, and when I first found you, you always, open up the show with "It's your boy." But you know what? I never caught your name for a couple weeks. I didn't know who. And I was like, "Oh, it's your boy." So one time I called and said, "Hey, Sim," and I said, "Okay, I finally know who I'm talking to." You introduced me to all these great shows. I know Stephanie of them, and of course, because I'm Stephanie too. I even know my man Andy from Poland, but I didn't know your name, so I just want you to know every once in a while say who you are, because you're great, and you got newbies like me didn't know.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Will do.
All right, take care, and
take
you know
care,
what?
Stephanie.
I'm looking forward to Losers Lounge tonight. I'm hoping I can come through because we need it.
All right, we appreciate it. We're looking forward to having you come through.
All right, take care, y'all. Bye
Appreciate
bye.
it. Have a good one.
All right, bye.
Yes, I do need to do that more often. So for those of you who are new, my name is Sim. And you know what? I will make sure I do it more often, or at least put my name up on the screen so that people know. Big shout out to Neville Humphreys. Thank you for the Cash App. I definitely appreciate it. He said, salute to Sim and Tony. Tony had to step off a little bit early, but he will be back later on tonight for the post-game show and hopefully for the Losers Lounge as well. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what I mean? The bottom line for this game, man, when we start talking about keys to the game, do not underestimate this team. I know they're 19-20, right? They've lost their last two games. They've got blown out in their last two games. But the Knicks, at least right now, they've got to look at themselves and say, they're not playing well offensively. Terrible offensively. If you listened to the show last night, and I was reading a report from Fred Katz, and he said with Jalen Brunson on the floor, the Knicks are scoring 125 points per 100 possessions. With Jalen Brunson off the floor, it's 104.8 points per game per 100 possessions. All right, that 104.8 points per 100 possessions is last in the NBA, would be last in the NBA if that were their actual, points per 100 possessions. The 125 point, whatever it was, 125.9, something like that, would be amongst the best ever per 100 possessions. I don't know why I keep saying possessions. Right? That's the difference that they have with Jalen Brunson on and off the floor. And one of the main reasons why they're looking for another ball handler, right? Another guy that can help the Knicks get into their sets. Obviously, Jalen Brunson is a scorer too, and he shoots efficiently from the field, blah, blah, blah. But right now, and if Jalen Brunson is out tonight, the Knicks are without Jalen Brunson. You're looking at that team that's giving you 104.8 points per 100 possessions. That's not good. And if you look at the last two games versus Memphis and then versus Orlando, Knicks scored 106 points versus Memphis. They scored 94 points versus Orlando. I mean, the numbers hold, right? They can't score the ball. Those are anemic numbers. So they can't look at this team, especially if Jalen Brunson is not playing, and say, oh, yeah, we're better than this basketball team. Can't do it. They cannot underestimate this basketball team. Secondly, they've got to figure out a way to get into their offense faster. It's taking them up to, 8 to 10 seconds to get into their offense. You're talking about a 24-second shot clock. Now you're down to 14 seconds you got to really start making something happen. And then the ball isn't moving the same. It's not moving with the same speed. It's not as crisp. They're looking and trying to figure out, where do I go? Who's initiating things? Right? Julius Randle is now like used to playing off the ball, not really initiating the offense, feeding off of and playing off of Jalen Brunson. Now he's got to figure out, okay, I got to be the guy. Because Deuce really isn't that guy right now. You know what I'm saying? So this is a very, very different team without Jalen Brunson. The Knicks got to figure out how to play offense without Jalen Brunson if he's out. That's one of my keys. Figure out how to play offense. Because if you can't figure out how to play offense, the Knicks will be in trouble tonight. Because they're going to come out, listen, they got blown out over the last two games. They've been blown out by large margins. They're going to be looking at the Knicks saying, yeah, this is a team we can beat. Please excuse my dog back there. They're shooting 46% from the field. They're shooting 36% from the three-point line. Quiet! I just had to tell her to be quiet. All right, so we can't let this team get loose from the three-point line. All right, and the Knicks have done, we haven't had as many teams this season. Early in the season, yes, teams were getting off on the three-point line. Over the past 3 weeks, the Knicks have really played that three-point line much better. And, of course, they've been shooting the ball well, the Knicks, except for the last game. They shot terribly. Right? But they can't let Houston get they can't let Houston get hot from the three-point line. All right? If you do, the Knicks will be in trouble. The Knicks are the Knicks are going to be okay defensively. They only gave up 98 points to Orlando. All right, so it's not the defensive side, it's the offensive side. So I'm expecting them to come out and play good defense. I'm expecting that they're not going to underestimate this team. Can they score the basketball? That's going to be the issue for me. Can they score the basketball? Right now, it's like they have to hold Houston to a crazy number scoring. You got to hold them to 96 points to win the basketball game. You can't expect to do that every night. Can they do it tonight? Possibly. You're not going to be expecting to do that every night. The Knicks got to take care of the basketball. They did that against Orlando, against Memphis. They turned the ball over 22 times. Right? This is a team that's, they're going to try to get their hands in the passing lanes. They're going to try to play aggressive defense. Right? This is what they're built upon right now. Now, they've struggled over the past couple of games. All right, they gave up 124 points to the Philadelphia 76ers. They lost 124-115. And then against the Boston Celtics, they gave up 145. All right. You know, so, you know, they're a team that's up and down, and they're expected to be up and down with who they are. So tonight's got to be, the Knicks got to make it one of those down nights. All right, rebounded basketball. The Knicks got out-rebounded by Orlando. It normally doesn't happen. Can't let it happen tonight. I think the Knicks are going to win this game. I think it's going to be a dogfight, though, but I think they're going to pull it out. I think they're going to come with different energy than they have, because I felt like they were a little slow, a little sluggish in the last game against Orlando. I don't know why, but they just felt sluggish. I'm expecting them to come out with renewed energy tonight. More focus. I think if Jalen Brunson isn't playing and as Deuce plays more with that lineup, the longer Brunson is out, the more they get comfortable with that lineup. The offense will get a little bit better, right, with that lineup. And then, of course, when Brunson comes back, Deuce goes back to the bench, then everything restores the way that it was. But now, hopefully, the Knicks got better because Deuce learned how to play with that lineup. So maybe there's a little bit of a silver lining here. You know what I mean? But we'll see how it goes tonight, ladies and gentlemen. My prediction is that the Knicks get this win tonight over the Houston Rockets. And then, you know, this is the first night of a back-to-back for the Knicks. I don't know how many. It seems like they're playing back-to-backs every other night. They play Houston tonight. They play Washington tomorrow. Take care of business tonight. Take care of business tomorrow. And then you got Toronto this weekend. You know, that's going to be a fun one. You know what I mean? That's going to be a real fun one. As a matter of fact, I almost thought that Obi, when I first heard that the Raptors in Indiana were closing in on a trade, I actually thought maybe Obi was going to end up in Toronto. And those three guys, RJ, Obi, and IQ, was going to come back to New York this weekend. Obviously, that didn't happen. But still, you know, that should be a fun game this weekend, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you on the post-game show. All right, this is your boy Sim. I gotta say it more. I agree 100%. This is your boy Sim. I thank you for joining me. All right, we'll be back on the post-game show later on tonight. Tony will be here on the post-game show. Hopefully, we'll be doing a Losers Lounge. And yeah, you know, enjoy the basketball game, folks. I'm out of here. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.